Hi class, for this video we're going to start with Whisker plots. Now a Whisker plot has the following formula, and all of this is technically done by technology, so we're just going to do a basic sketch. And what it requires is that we organize the data set from min to max, and then we obtain the following values. Now these are the values from a lab that we did on the actual 5-number summary. So it requires for us to obtain the minimum value, the quartiles, and section 3.5 will explain how to find the quartiles by hand, but they're technically dividing the data set into, well, a total of 4 parts. So it'll want Q1, Q2, Q3. Q2 is the median, and then the maximum value. So for this one, what we need to do is first enter the data set, and here you technically already have the data set, and I already have it as L1. And then what I need you to do is run me a one variable stats, and make sure that you're running on L1, and that should give you the actual dataset summary. Now, all I want is a basic sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect, but your minimum value starts at 5. So for this actual Whisker plot, I'm just going to start at the values of 5. The maximum value given is 50, and then Q1 starts at 15, 20, and 27. So not to scale, but I'm going to say 5, and then that's going to be your maximum at 50. The next value, which is Q1, is 15.5. So I'm just going to put it about here, 15.5, and then 20 and 27. So not to scale once again, but this is 20 and technically 27. Let me fix this board here. And then don't forget the title. So we still have that this is minutes at a local bank. So all of your graphs need to have a title of what the data set represents. And then technically units, if there are in there. In this case, we already have them as minutes. That would be your sketch. Next week, we're going to do these labs with actual StatCrunch, so you don't have to worry about the scale. The scale is going to be, well, it'll be accurate in terms of this distance, that distance, and so on. But that's going to be for us an actual Whisker plot. Let's go to the next graph, and the next graph is a dot plot. Now, a dot plot has the following features. So it's an X and Y grid of a graph, except that in this particular one, you can organize the X's and Y's as you wish. Now, for the data set that we're given, we're asked to create a dot plot, and technically you're looking at, well, that data set. And you have to be able to provide an X and Y grid out of the data set. So in this case, you're not given X's, you just have a data set of numbers. And for this one, what's appropriate to do is we'll analyze the data set. This is, well, minutes at a local bank. So that's going to be our title. So let me write the title. So minutes at a bank. And then one way to organize the dot plot, and for any dot plot, you can actually use any organization that you like as long as you end up with dots. So in this case, I'm just going to say that X is equal to subjects, and you kind of have to declare it. So for any dot plot that you're organizing, I would just say let X equal to subjects. Oops, let me fix. And then Y is equal to minutes. And then one way to organize it is the first subject. So I'm just going to start with 1. Actually lasted at this bank. Let me actually put the numbers. So we have a total of 12 values. So this is 1. I'm just going to say this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now your scale, it's fine for any of these sketches as long as it looks decent. That would be fine. Like I said earlier, we will be using stud crunch, so you don't have to worry much about that. Now what's important here is that we get the dots approximately where they belong. So the first subject stayed waiting about 20 minutes. So 1, it's going to have a dot at about 20 minutes. Second subject, 15 minutes. So that's about there. Third subject is 5 minutes. That's there. Next subject is 16. So just above the 15. Then 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Our fifth subject is about 21. So just about there. Sixth subject, 23. Just about there. I'm going to start with the last one. The last one is 11. So that's going to be not to scope, but around there. Then 16. That's about there. Then the 10th subject, 50 minutes. So all the way up here. The 9th subject, 35 minutes. So about there. Then 26 minutes. About there. And then 28 minutes. So this one is 28. About there. And I think I got them all. Let me count them. Okay, I counted 12. In any case, on your sketches, I'm just looking that they look about correct. Don't worry too much about the scale. I do want you to do them with paper and pencil, so your sketches will look something like that. I'm looking at, do you have the title? Did you declare what X and Y represents? And the idea of declaring what X and Y represents is because on a dot plot, you could have organized it from min to max. So in that case, these dots would look differently. So I'm just saying subject number 1, and let's assume that that's this first person that was recorded, and so on in that order. But a dot plot, you have a little bit of freedom on how you wish to organize the data set. Let's take a look at another dot plot, but this one we don't have the freedom. So this is going to be a scatter plot. Now in your scatter plot, you don't have much freedom in the way that you're organizing it. So this is how this one is done. The first data set that you're given, it's your X's. Your second data set is your Y's. So in this case, X is equal to H. And then Y is equal to technically money, and it represents income. Now, what you're going to be doing is plotting the actual grid in a format that makes sense, and you have these pairs. So these have to be technically together. So you're not allowed to modify those in any order. That means that all of these are actually paired as X's and Y's, as we did, well, coordinate points later on. Notice that on the previous one, we didn't do that. We basically just said, as long as you get dots and you organize the data set in a format that makes sense, it's perfectly fine. But not on a scatter plot. So on a scatter plot, it's understood that the first data set is X's, your data set will represent Y's. And then I'm just using 10,000s on my scale. Let me put the scale of the ages, and I'm just gonna go by, 10 is fine. So we don't need 10, but I'll leave it there. Then this is 20. This will be 30, and then 40. You can actually put the actual numerical values since it's not a whole lot of values. But what matters here is that you put an intersection at the 20 and the 15,000, or approximately, which is going to be there. Next value is 25, so that's in the middle. And then that would be 20,000, so just a little bit higher than the individual at 40. They're making 50,000, so that's up here. And then an individual of 43, which is just right about there, it's making 47. So I'm just going to put it around there. Don't forget the title. So in this case, it's Central Valley. Oops. And this is income levels. So that's our actual graph. So our main solution is just going to be this portion here. Okay, let's go to the last graph that we're going to do. In a pie chart or a regular pie chart, it's basically just as it looks, as you see it here on the sketch. You're basically looking at some sort of a circle with categories, and we just have to make sure that these categories match with the circle. So let's take a look at the data set that we have. Now, all I need you to do is as perfect as you can a circle. If it looks like an egg, that's perfectly fine. And let me look at these two categories, and we're looking at, well, this is like right in the middle. So for us, I'm just going to cut it in here. And then this is 50. So I'm just going to put this here. And let me add that to the key. This is going to be the math people. So I'm just going to put that this is this portion here. And as you look at the math portion, it has to be clear that that is, well, technically this portion. And then you have to add percentages or decimals. So in this case, the math individuals account for 10%. Your business account for 40. And you can add any design that you like. Let me add for the business horizontal lines. So in this case, we're going to have horizontal lines going in that direction. And the horizontal lines account for 40%. So in this case, this one will be 40%. The next one, it's, well, 30 and 20 add up to 50. So I'm just going to say that that's 25. I'll just go a little bit higher, and we're going to call that the liberal arts. So for the liberal arts, I'm just going to put dots. You can use any design that you like. So in this case, oh shoot, let me fix this. It's not looking. Give me just a sec. I fixed it. Okay, so this is the basic idea. You want to make sure that in your final solution, when anybody looks at your pie chart, and obviously we would be using technology if this was going to be presented, that if anybody looks at these dots, in this case green dots, they are able to identify that that is this category, that's liberal arts, and that accounts for 30%, which is technically this 30% from here. You can use any design. In this case, because the video is running out of minutes, I only have 15 minutes to record. So technically this category represents the empty one. That's the other, that would be your 20%. And then this particular one, it's the liberal arts. Horizontal lines will be the business. And then this little S here will be your mathematics. So that would be your pie chart. There's more designs in the book or more different ones, but this is sufficient for what I'll ask you to do.